What's up, y'all? Um, this is a quick message, I think. I don't know how long it's going to be, but I need to say it because it came to me in this conversation that I was having about, the harms and the violence of whiteness, but sometimes I talk about the violence of whiteness because it is it's such a violent structure, um, inherently about disconnection and harm and um yeah, it's a scythe to whatever is growing that's good. Whiteness is a scythe, and so I really invite it's the reason why white people really have to figure out and learn how to divest from whiteness. But here's your pro tip: white person trying to divest from whiteness, you can't do it if you don't heal your trauma. Whiteness is actually a function at its root, at its historical, epigenetic, ancestral root. Whiteness is a trauma response. It is a trauma response to a Judeo-Christian ethos that told white people that they were inherently sinful and separated from God. Um, and then, so consequently, like the whole story is that either you deny yourself to ascertain holiness, but most humans actually can't do that. That's not actually the way humans are wired. So then it's like, well, let's externalize that and gather your validation through wealth and domination. So all of whiteness, and I've said this shit before, this isn't new shit. All of whiteness at its core is a trauma response to the pain of disconnection, to the belief of not enoughness, and then to our own individual patterns, your own individual patterns, harms that occurred in your family, right? So you don't see your shit. So here's what happens, right? Is the white people, I think, oftentimes spend time trying to divest from the high level of whiteness, right? Like, the everyday things, you've read Between the World and Me and you're trying to be a better person, whatever. But you ain't done shit about your childhood trauma. You've not healed any of the fucked up shit your daddy said to you, did to you, mama did to you, said to you, sibling said to you, uncle touched you. None of the shit that fucking happened to you in your real life. Not let alone your ancestral line that y'all motherfuckers won't even look at half the time. But you won't deal with your actual trauma in your real life. And so you know what whiteness does? Because undealt with trauma is disempowering, right? It's actually just about power, right? That trauma is that someone stole our sense of power and safety, right? That like I am safe and I'm enough and I'm cared for and like I have the ability to not have harm come to me. And we personalize that when harm happens to us, right? We all do that. And so what happens when white people move through the world having not dealt with their trauma is that whiteness is always the backup plan for how to reestablish trauma. So your painful, undealt with stories about, not being good enough show up as whiteness trying to steal power. Your money trauma and class stuff that hasn't dealt with about growing up as a poor white person, you wield power in that place where you feel disempowered by wielding whiteness. Whiteness is always the backup plan for how to reestablish power. And without taking care of your trauma, it is the tool you'll always go to. And you're severing, scything, harming, acting in violence to the people of color in the world while you're proclaiming you want to be a good white person, a woke white person, you disavow racism, but you're still using whiteness as the tool to reestablish power. And it's because you haven't dealt with your trauma. Go to therapy, deal with your shit so you can stop harming people of color. Word.